Okay, here we are with the team that is this the entire team that was responsible? I imagine there's other people that were involved with the creating of your opus to the fort. Why don't you introduce yourselves and the project?
All right. Well, there's a couple other people who participated on the project who are not here. Matt Bradley is a videographer, did a lot of camera work for us. Sal Zerilli, who's the production manager for the team. Keith Palzola did photography and some videography work. My name's Sal Zerilli. I'm from Gloucester. I grew up down the fort. Big part of the project.
I'm Barbara Burton. I'm an anthropologist. I work with Sal and was involved in doing a lot of the interviews and helping with all the editing as well.
And I'm Jim Waymeyer, and the two of them brought me in, thankfully, to be the videographer and editor on the project.
Okay, so when did this project come to fruition, and what was the idea behind it?
We've been working on the project for about 2 years. The initial motivation to begin the project was when the controversy around the hotel was just getting a lot of attention and people really involved in thinking about what the future of the fort would be. We had some thoughts about whether if the neighborhood was ultimately gentrified, what would happen to the history of the Sicilian community down there. There's no formal record of it, at least there wasn't. What it was like for people to move to the area from Sicily to establish a way of life, to work down there, to live down there. So we thought, well, if the neighborhood's gentrified, that history may vanish. So we thought, let's go down and document and record as much of it as we possibly could, we started with old timers and then worked our way down to younger generations. And in the process of doing that, we thought, well, such a rich history, such an amazing story, why just document it? Why not try to create a representation of the story and then share it with folks in the form of a film? So that was the initial motivation. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it evolved.
Yeah. You also have a website. Why don't we tell people that they could find more information about it? Is it Down the Fort?
Yeah.
Downthefort.com.
Downthefort.com.
And a Facebook page as well.
Oh, I imagine there's a lot of people that check out the Facebook page. Facebook's taken over everything.
Yeah.
It's like bananas. Yeah. But yeah, there's pictures on the and
people have donated photos to the Facebook page.
Yeah.
So that's been both. It's a great opportunity to go there and look and see the pictures that are there and comment. And there's a lot of wonderful discussions that go on there about the photos. And then it's also been a great resource for us.
A good number of the photos we ended up using that's how we got directly up through people loading them up.
Yeah, I know the Nicastros, they have that greasy pole shrine, and the pictures they have, oh my God, I mean, hundreds of unbelievable photos. I mean, they go way back.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, there's a rich history there. Now, so last 2 nights you had your screening at the Cape Ann Community Cinema. How was that received?
Well, Tuesday night it was the premiere, and it was a private screening for people who were either in the film or had contributed to the creation of the film in some significant way. And that was a really special night. I think everybody there was moved. So it was a really cool experience. Last night we had 2 screenings. Both of them were sold out.
That's a big space too.
Yeah, we had, I think, both nights over 100 people in the space. It's really cool experience.
That may have been the most, I know Rob Newton down there does a fantastic job, but I don't know that since he's been in that location that there has been a probably more local, intense, the emotion in that room must have been just unbelievable.
You could feel it.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting for us to be able to sit there in the crowd and watch it with people too. It's a really wonderful feeling, actually.
Yeah.
After spending so much time looking at them all alone in our rooms, looking at these screens, it's great to sit there.
There's more to come with this. I hope. I can't imagine there being a bigger reward, really, than that evening, those evenings, and hopefully tonight as well.
Yeah, we have one more screening tonight.
Oh, really?
It's also sold out. So.
Wow, there you go, another screening tonight. So where from here? What do you guys foresee this project, this film? How long is it?
65 minutes.
65 minutes. Where do you see it going from here? And how can more people see it possibly in the future?
Sal, you have any ideas on that?
We've been asked that question a lot over the last few days, and we've been so focused over the last several, for 2 years, but over the last several months, just trying to get the film ready to show locally, that we haven't spent too much time thinking about how we'll distribute it and how we'll make it available to folks. People have been asking about whether it'll be on DVD. Absolutely, it's a matter of when. Whether they'll be able to see it on cable, maybe.
Yeah. Film festivals?
Yeah, I think that's our plan. Our core plan is to submit it to a couple of festivals, see how it does, and certainly to see if we two of the people, the outfits that help support it. One of them is among the things they do is to distribute films like this, and they're interested on some level. So we'll go with them and see what
the documentary educational resources.
Yeah, out of Watertown.
Oh wow!
But our goal is to share it as widely as possible. We think it's a very instructive story. Other people can benefit from knowing about the fort and what it's meant to people to live down there and be connected to the place. So ultimately, we want to distribute it as widely as possible.
The fort is a unique place, and that was one of the things that was so amazing about being able to be a part of this project, is getting to know such a unique community. But it also has a lot of significance, I think, outside of the fort as well. There's a lot of ways in which people in other parts of the country could learn and understand things differently by hearing the story of the fort, I think.
It's really, I mean, basically it's a gentrification versus development kind of thing, or yes or no?
I'd say that's an element of it, but it's 100 years leading up to that also. It's a whole way of life. It's about assimilation. It's about immigration. It's the whole process of becoming the fort becoming what is the fort.
Yeah,
the people becoming what are the people. And so forth.
I think it's also just thinking about what everyone, how people feel about community in general, and what we miss when we don't have those kind of ties to community. And perhaps in many cases for Americans, don't even know that we miss them until we see a community that still exists like that, and then we realize, I don't have this in my life.
I think that there are, a theme on my blog is, that unless you move away from this town, I think a lot of people, for at least like 6 months or so, I think that a lot of people don't even appreciate what we have here. Like there's a lot of towns that are, when you read Boston Magazine and they come out with their top 10 places to live, and they base it on a bunch of factors, and they're school systems and money and per capita and this, that, and the other thing. But so many times what they're totally miss is the community. And like there's a lot of these places are bedroom communities where there is virtually no community.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's just insane because, you go to some of these places, there's no coffee shop where you go to and you walk in and you know 10 people. You say, hey, what's going on? You have a conversation and stuff like that. And everybody's kind of intertwined. Whether you fall way left, way right, everybody has a deep love for this place. And the fort is another microcosm of this place. But yeah, so.
We talked to a lot of people who lived down the fort for a long period of time and then moved out for one reason or another. And when they moved out, they caught a glimpse of what they had when they were down there, and it was that sense of being connected to other people in a deep way, not just people, but the place itself. And they move out and they recognize what it is that they've lost. And I think that's part of why so many folks have responded so intensely and so passionately to the idea that maybe the fort's going to be altered in some deep, significant way and become very different than what it has been historically. So it's not just moving away, I think it's also moving out into different parts of the city. And you have a basis of comparison as well there.
We have to ask these questions. I think that was one of the things that we were thinking about throughout the whole process, is what is a place, what makes a place matter to people? It's a combination of the physical place and all the people around it and all the memories and all the history. But there's no way to really separate those things. So if you just go and mow down all the things that are associated with its history and with the people that have lived there, what do you have left?
Mhm.
You just have something very different.
Yeah. Well, I agree. But in some instances, though, you know, holding on to the past and paying respects to the past is one thing. It's that I don't. I think in our town we also have a big faction of people that don't want to see anything happen anywhere, and they cling on to a past that has, you know, been radically changed. You know, with fishing and overfishing and, you know, regulation and the reaction to that, and in some ways things do need to change a little bit. So I get the whole, you know, holding on to the past, but it's some, you know, when you have empty buildings with no one working in them, you know, somewhere in between here, you know, and there's got to be some compromise and not say no to everything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's just me, you know.
I like to think that the project and the film in particular asks a bunch of questions, and one of them is, you know, how should change happen?
Mm-hmm.
Why and how? Not a no, but in fact, at the very end, it challenges the viewer, the listener, to think, you know, here's 100 years in, what about the next 100 years? How are we going to do this, and why might it matter to think this through?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we would agree with that also.
Yeah, asking questions, not making conclusions and statements about the way things should be.
Yeah. Well, I'm dying to see it, and you keep us informed as far as when the DVD is released and where people will be able to get a copy of it, and any kind of film festivals that it's going to be. Because I'm hoping to get into some like big ones like Boston or something like that and go see it in some really beautiful, you know, theaters and stuff like that.
That'd be great.
All right. Well, thank you so much to the
Thank you.
team,
Thanks, Joe.
and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.